Hello everyone, it's the most wonderful time of the year, so of course that means a 12 Pans of Christmas update. I apologize for the sound of my voice. I didn't realize how bad it was until I started talking. I feel like Phoebe from Friends, and now I really want to sing Sexy Smelly Cat. Anyway, I don't know why that's where my mind went first, but it did. Anyway, 12 Pans of Christmas is a massive, massive collab. There's a ton of people involved in this. I will have the playlist linked down below where you can see people's videos, and I will have people's Instagram pages listed there as well. I can't list everybody in my description box because I just don't have enough room, because I put other information in my description box as well, and you are limited to a certain amount of characters. So unfortunately I can't list everybody, but there is the playlist so you guys can go through and see all of the intros and hopefully updates as people are updating them. If you haven't seen my intro yet, I highly recommend you check that out before you continue watching this one, because otherwise this isn't going to make a whole lot of sense. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's dive into the update. I finished 4 out of the 12 products, so I'm really happy about that. It's always very exciting to me when I finish products within a project pan, and sometimes that's not my ultimate goal, but it still feels really good to be pushing products out. So I will start there with that 4 and then go into the things that I have remaining. So the first thing I'll talk about is this Mehron barrier spray. This is a fixing spray. You guys have probably heard about setting sprays before if you haven't already used them. Things like the Urban Decay All-Nighter, which happens to be my holy grail and the one that I'm going to be sticking with. This one I actually got in a kit of special effects makeup, and I just wanted to use it up because I wasn't using the special effects makeup, not really planning on it. I bought it on kind of a whim, and it just I haven't really had the follow through to experiment more with that stuff. But anyway, that's something for another video, not this one. So I just use this as I would normally, and it's way too intense for just normal usage. So I'm glad that I got it out of the way. If I ever was to go back into theater stuff again, if I was going to be applying makeup onto people for theater again, I would definitely want to have something like this in my kit, because I feel like this would really stand up well to high-powered lights and all that sort of stuff. I obviously didn't get a chance to test it out that way, except for the lights I have around me right now, and it worked fine for that. Anyway, decent enough product. It's just not something that I need for my purposes right now. I also finished this little mini lip balm from BareMinerals. This is the Pop of Passion lip balm in Pink Passion. This was just a little deluxe size guy, so I finished this up just very easily. Like with most lip balms, the easiest way to finish something like this up is just to pop it in your purse and just reapply it as you go. So this one did have a little bit of tint, so when I was wearing like a pinky nude lipstick, instead of reapplying, I would apply this because it's very low maintenance, very easy. It really did not take very long for me to go through this, just with using it a couple of times in a day, and really it had no staying power whatsoever. Like less than an hour and it was completely gone. Like there was no trace of it left on my lips anymore. So definitely not a product that I would want to invest my own money into, but it's a good product for panning. So it worked for this project, but it's not something that I think I would ever want to have because I would go through it way too quickly. The third product I finished is the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer. I really liked this face primer. I go through so many primers and so much foundation. It's actually a little bit ridiculous, but what can I say? It's one of my favorite makeup steps. So this primer is a little bit sticky, so I like to put it on first and then let it sit for a couple of minutes before going in with foundation, and foundation applied really nicely on top of my skin. It does say it's poreless, but I didn't really feel like it was pore filling. It just felt more like a hydrating primer to me, which is great because that's what I like on the daily. I just like a very basic face primer just to use as a barrier so that I don't apply foundation directly to my face, because I always have problems if I apply foundation directly to my face. It just doesn't react very well with my skin and it just doesn't last very well. I like primers that do some neat tricks sometimes, like things that are illuminating or pore filling, but sometimes just to have that barrier like this one. So this one worked really well for that purpose, so I would definitely repurchase this. I do feel like there wasn't a whole lot of product in here, but for the price in comparison to some of the other ones I used, I do think it was worth it. And yeah, I absolutely would repurchase this one again. I've tried a few e.l.f. primers. They're one of my favorite products from e.l.f. and I would buy this exact one again, but I also want to try some other ones. I think they actually have a dedicated hydrating primer, which I can't remember if I've tried at this point because I've gone through like probably 20 or 30 primers in general, at least, if not more than that. So I want to see what else is out there first, but I would definitely repurchase the poreless one sometime in the future. And the last product that I finished is the Anastasia Concealer in 0.5. I'm actually going to miss this. I really did not think I was going to, but then I started to use it more. I used it mostly around my eyebrows, so I could like carve it out and be a little bit more precise so that they looked a little bit neater. And I also used it to spot conceal. And the thing is, previously I was really heavy-handed with it, so it was like product on top of product on top of product, and I didn't like the way that it sat on my skin, and I felt like it moved around too much, and it didn't even set very well with powder on top of it if I was trying to cover spots. But then I went in really lightly and it covered and it worked really well. And who would have thought? Less is more. It's something I've been trying to do more of when it comes to makeup, do less, because it's just my nature, who I am as a person. I go heavy-handed with everything in my life. And then as a panner, it's kind of become ingrained in me to like be really heavy-handed with products, to go through them more. But that doesn't always mean you get the best representation of a product, because if you don't use it well, and if you don't use it properly, you're not really gonna know if it's gonna work right. Because I know that's definitely happened to myself, where I will use something incorrectly, complain about it, and it's not until a later time when I use it right that I actually end up liking it. And that was sort of the thing with this concealer. Like, I did not like it until the bitter end, when I was really using a very light hand with it, and then I fell in love with it and didn't want to finish it. So I actually have 0.75 in this concealer, but 0.5 is the perfect match for me, so it made it really easy to blend everything together because it just matched my face, and that's what I need in a concealer. I really do think, having used this now, I've sort of figured out my concealer needs a little bit more, and really I don't need a bunch, I need 3, and just 3 general types. Something like a creamy pot type thing like this, because then I can use that to spot conceal certain spots on my face, but also for things like brows. Then something a little bit thicker, like something that you'd find in like a stick, so that I can conceal other spots of my face, and then a liquid for underneath the eyes, and that's like what I need. And what I'm going to be talking about pretty soon in terms of 2018 projects is my actual goals for categories, what I want to have, instead of just sort of working towards some sort of like arbitrary number. I want to have products that are going to work well for my needs and what they are, and I really am working hard and have been working hard on identifying what those are. So just through this project alone, I've really discovered my concealer needs, and thanks to that concealer. And that concealer is actually discontinued now, which is really sad because I probably would have repurchased it. So I'm looking for another one now that will sort of fill the gap this one has left behind, because I feel so reliant on it now. I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel like I've been struggling a little bit trying to find other products within what I currently have that will do what that concealer did. Alright, so I'll go through the remaining 8 products really quickly. The first thing I have here is a foundation. This is from Laura Mercier. It's the Candleglow Soft Luminous Foundation. So I did track my progress. You can see the first mark from where I had started, and then the mark showing where I am right now. So I do think I can finish this foundation by the end of the month. I was using it by mixing it with other foundations, lighter foundations, because that one is too dark for me to wear on its own. I love it. It looks really good on its own in terms of the way that it sits on my face and really how glowy it is. It truly does give your face that look like you're sitting in front of a candle and you just have that light reflecting onto your face. It's beautiful, but it's just not a good shade for me. So I've been mixing it. That's why I haven't used more than I have been, because I will do like a couple of pumps of that and then something else. So I'm going to keep working on it. I can get away with using a little bit more ratio wise when I'm wearing it on the daily as opposed to like on camera, because The camera will show everything. I am pretty washed out because of all the lights, but when I wear a foundation that's too dark or too yellow, you can tell like immediately it's not right. So I'm going to keep working on that with some of my other, foundations. The Stila liquid eyeliner in Snow is still holding on. I used it a little bit on my lower waterline today. There's this trick that I learned on Lisa Eldridge's channel. She has this older video talking about Marilyn Monroe's makeup, and if you have like white liner underneath like your lashes, it makes them look bigger, and so I will do that on occasion. I'm actually wearing a false eyelash style called Marilyn right now because it sort of imitates that effect, and I just dragged the liner out a little bit outside of the waterline onto it just because it's a bit of an illusion and it tricks the eye a little bit. So I've been having fun with that. I don't really like it like I thought I was going to use it, like for like graphic things. I used a glitter liner for this look today. If I try to use this liner for that effect, it's just not pigmented enough. It's not white enough, so it looks like a mistake. It doesn't look intentional. So I do really like the idea of white eyeliner, but I want a really pigmented white eyeliner, not one that's not super pigmented. Like this one is decent, but it's not as blindingly white as I want it to be. Next, the Bite lipstick in Aubergine. It's the lipstick that I'm wearing right now, of course. I really wish I could say I have a lot of progress on this lipstick, but I can't. I only used it a handful of times. I knew I wasn't going to use it enough to really have a lot of progress on it. I chose it because of the project, just because it reminded me of those singing vegetables from the Muppets Christmas Carol. If you're lost, you haven't seen my intro, and you're missing out because that was really fun. But anyway, this was one of those fun products I had to choose for the sake of the project, not necessarily something I was intending to finish. Next, the Becca color corrector in Pistachio, the green one. There's a lot more pan on this than there was before. I use this every single day to cover up my redness, and the more I use it, the less I like it. It just doesn't do as good of a job as I want it to do. I feel like I need something that's a little bit of a deeper green because my spots tend to be really red. The worst offender on my face is psoriasis, which tends to be covered with my headbands, thank God, because sometimes it's really, really bad. Some days are better than others, just if I'm having a bit of a flare-up, and I can get away with just a little bit less of it. But sometimes when it's really bright red, that light, like almost pastelish green, doesn't cover it the way that I want it to. It tends to work decently for blemishes, but not that well for that spot, which is what I really need it for. So I'm still on the hunt for a green concealer. Hopefully I will find a better one sometime soon, once I finish that one up, of course. Next, MAC pigment. This is Blonde's Gold. I actually didn't use this at all. Pigments freak me out. I always intend to use it, and I have the best intentions, but they just like they're so intense, and I haven't quite figured out how to use them without getting them everywhere. I'm just not a good person with loose product. That's why I don't have a lot of stuff from indie brands. I've recently made an order, and I say recently, it was probably like 3 or 4 months ago now, and I have only used those products like once or twice because they freak me out. I just can't get them to work properly for me. I tried all these little tricks and everything, but I just end up getting so much fallout because I end up picking up too much product in the brush and having a really hard time getting it right. Anyway, I just need to play with it more. I need more practice, obviously. So again, the pigment was just something I chose for the sake of the project, not something that I was realistically thinking I was going to be working on the same level as some of the other products I chose. Next, I have the e.l.f. Lock and Seal stuff. I used a little bit of this, not a lot. I tried using it mostly with glitters, but it just hasn't been serving me that well. I've been trying to figure out other ways to use it, just because the ways I've used it so far just don't seem to be great. The Estee Edit Pore Vanishing Stick, I have a little bit of progress on this. I haven't used it a whole lot. I actually forgot about it because I haven't really felt the need to use it. This is a product that I go to when I really need to like hide pores, but my pores haven't been that bad. My skin has been bad and kind of crazy, and I was too busy and concerned with fixing like those skin problems as opposed to worrying about pore stuff. So I haven't used a whole lot of that stuff. I feel like I will just have to remember it stick it right in front of me on my vanity so that I use it daily to go through it. It's not available anymore, and that's one of those things with certain products, like I just want to finish them, because if I do end up falling in love with this, I can't repurchase it because the Estee edit doesn't exist anymore. And the last product I have is one of the ColourPop Super Shock Shadows. This is Sleigh, and I have hit pan on this, and I used it 3 times since my intro for this project. So you can see in the middle, there's a little tiny bit of pan showing. These are very, very shallow pans anyway, so it's not like it's a huge accomplishment to hit pan on them, but it still feels good. I love this shadow. I need to find a powder version of it. It's a beautiful green, but there's like a little bit of silver glitter in there as well. It's stunning. I just find that it doesn't apply as well on my lid as it does as a swatch. As a swatch, and that seems to be true for a lot of the Super Shock shadows I have, like they're gorgeous and I love playing with them and I love swatching them, and they're just beautiful things. It makes me feel like a kid playing with markers and colors and stuff, but on my face it just doesn't seem to translate as well. So this is an absolutely beautiful product, but I just hope that there's a better formulation out there. Alright, so that is everything for my update. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will have my finale somewhere around Christmas time. It might be shortly thereafter, but my plan is to have it up before the new year. I've got a ton of stuff I still need to do before the year is over, and a ton of stuff planned for the new year. So I'm going to be very busy. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. If you have any video requests or things that you would really like to see from me, as always, make sure to let me know, and I hope I will get a chance to talk to you soon. Bye for now.